Alright, continuing on with solving inequalities, we're going to look at multi-step. Alright, so here we have a multi-step equation, and we're going to look at this and notice that there's a variable on both sides of the inequality. So first one to get the variable on one side. So there's a 6x on the left, 2x on the right. I'm going to get rid of the smaller one. So 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. After that's done, we get 6x minus 2x, which is 4x. We got our minus 7, which is greater than 17. Now, continuing on with this, we still need to get x by itself, so we've got to get rid of this minus 7. The opposite of that is to add 7, so I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And after we do that on the left, we get 4x. On the right, we get 24. One more step here to get the variable by itself, and we want to undo multiplying by 4, so we're going to divide both sides by 4, and then we finally get our solution that x is greater than 6. So graphing it on a number line, 6, 7, and we're going to have an open dot and shade everything to the right. Alright, so here we have this multi-step inequality, and there's parentheses, so we're going to have to distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to take this negative 1/4 and multiply it by the p, and when we do that, we're going to get negative 1/4 p. Then I'm going to take the negative 1/4 and multiply it by negative 12, so that gets us a positive 3 greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to look at this first part here, this negative 1/4 p. We can also write that as p over negative 4. So I'm going to leave it with it changed like that. Now as we look at this, we want to work to get the variable by itself, so we're going to have to undo the adding by 3, so I'll subtract 3 on both sides. After we do that, we get p over negative 4 greater than or equal to negative 5. We got one more step to get the variable by itself. We have to undo dividing by negative 4, so I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 4. Now, if you recall from the video in 5.2, that if you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, which we just did, we have to change the direction of the inequality sign. So I'm going to change that direction of the inequality sign first. On the left we got p. On the right, negative 5 times negative 4 is 20. So if we graph this on a number line, it's going to look something like this. And since we got a less than or equal to symbol, we're going to have a closed dot. And we want less than, so we're going to shade to the left. Alright, so here we're going to look at solving this inequality if it's possible. As I look on the right, I see parentheses want to distribute. So I'm going to take the 7 times the 2x, which gets me 14x. And then I'm going to take the 7 and multiply it by the negative 3, which gets negative 21. I'm going to keep the left side the same. And we want to continue to get the variable by itself. So if we look, we've got variables on both sides. So we're going to get rid of that, and they're the same value, so I'm just going to subtract 14x on both sides. After we do that, we end up with a 5 on the left, and on the right we have a negative 21. Now as we look at this, it says 5 is less than negative 21. Well, that's not true. And since the statement's not true, this is not possible. And that means there's no solutions. So here we have a multi-step inequality that we want to solve if it's possible. On the right side we have parentheses, so we're going to take that 6 and multiply it by and distribute it by everything on the inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to take 6, multiply it by 2m, which gets me 12m. And then I'm going to take the 6 and multiply it by negative 1, which gets me negative 6. I'm going to keep everything on the left the same. And as we look at this, we've got variables on both sides. There's a 12m on both sides, so I'm going to get rid of that. Subtract 12m on the right, subtract 12m on the left. After we do that, we get a negative 1 on the right, and we get a negative 6. I'm sorry, negative 1 on the left and a negative 6 on the right. And this is a true statement. Negative 1 is greater than negative 6. And if we get a true statement, that means that our this is possible and that our solution is all real numbers. Okay, that's it for this video, and next is time to practice some of this stuff on your own.